All right. Today we're going to talk about something that I think is very topical, very timely with the recent changing of the guard in the political presidential administration, and that is why young people don't believe in the American dream. The American dream is dead. The American dream is dead for young people. Talking 20s and 30s, and there's a lot of reasons why the American dream is dead for young people. And I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to go into the reasons why, but I want to make it clear it's not really meant to be a political video because these issues have existed from one presidential president to another. So these things have been ongoing, these issues have been ongoing, but there's a very good reason that Americans are not waving the flag, particularly as it relates to young people. I got my hat today to prove the point that I do like this country in a lot of ways. I do. But the point is that it is not a perfect place to live. There's a lot of issues with this country and they need to be fixed, and they're not going to be addressed unless we talk about it. So we should. So young people are not buying into the American dream. Why not? Why not? Well, if you're not getting anything out of the system, why would you be a patriot? Why would you subscribe to the system? It doesn't make sense. It's common sense to not want to be a patriot, to not be an American sort of flag waver when you feel like the country hasn't done anything for you, right? And you're supposed to do something for your country, but it's a give and take relationship. If you're getting nothing out of it, then you're not exactly going to be too happy with the way things are going. It just makes sense. You have to be able to get something out of it. All these people that I see that are super duper patriots usually have nice houses. Right, I was walking down a street the other day filled with Trump memorabilia, Trump signs, talk about being a sore winner. And one of the things that really clicked for me is like, of course they would feel this way. They've won in the system that they're in. They've got these nice, beautiful houses in a high cost of living area, most of which, by the way, they probably inherited through their family that they didn't even buy with their own salary and their own regular job. But that's besides the point. So, of course, they would feel this way. They're winning in the current system in which they find themselves. But they have to understand the young people, 20s and 30s, are not winning in this system in which they find themselves. They're just not. They're not winning because they don't have access to the ability to own property. It's impossible, right? Even if you have a job like me, I have a corporate job, got a college degree, I did everything right, savings, still can't afford a house because I live in a high cost of living area. Average house is like $600,000 to $700,000. Easy solution. Leave, right? Go live somewhere else, of course. No duh. Wish I thought of that, but you can't. The reason you can is because companies want you to be around the office, or they want you to come back to the office. Remote work is few and far between. You can't find it so easily. If you take the risk and move to a small, lower cost of living area, find a house for $300,000, which is, the average price of a house these days, which I'm told that is expensive in of itself. The average price of a house has gone up to that point. And to me, that sounds cheap because of where I live, which is crazy. But even if I did that, there is no guarantee that I'll be able to continuously find a job in that area. So I'm making a huge risk by moving to some small ass little area no one's ever heard of to buy a $300,000 house in the middle of nowhere. And maybe remote work goes away in 5 to 10 years. And then what happens? Then I'm screwed, right? And that's where we find ourselves as this being a central issue. If you're a software engineer in San Francisco and you make well over 6 figures, it doesn't mean you can afford a house in San Francisco or the surrounding California area. But you can't leave because the company wants you there. They want you to be around. They want you to be near the office. Or they want you to actually go physically to the office. No negotiations. So now you're stuck with rent that costs like $4,000 or $5,000 a month that you have to share with 2-3 other people just to get by. It's not working, right? Cost of living is too goddamn high. So of course young people are angry. The other aspect is student loans. Can't get a job without a college degree. Oh, just don't get student loans, Don't go to college. Okay, then what kind of job are they going to get realistically? They're going to go into the trades. Everyone's going to go into the trades. Okay, then everyone goes into the trades and now there's a lot of competition in the trades. Now what? Right? Same thing. Everyone migrates over to another career field. That career field gets over bloated. So they have to get a loan. They have to get a loan so they can get a job and go to the corporate world, which, by the way, most of these jobs, I don't even understand why you need a college degree because they're self-explanatory. You learn most of the stuff on the job. There's a lot of soft skills that are required for most of these positions that you learn on the job. Or you can learn through a course on YouTube or through Google or whatever. Get a certification. You don't even need to go to college for some of those more technical positions like a software engineer. You could learn all of that on the internet. Take a certification course, take an exam, pass, boom, you can do the job. Get interviewed, etc., etc. So college in of itself seems to be a massive scam, but that's a video for another time. The point is, though, that companies require these degrees for you to get a job, so you have to go into debt. And so young people are buried beneath student loans that they can't get out of. I'm lucky that I don't have any, by the way. This isn't sour grapes for me, but I can sympathize with people that have $100,000 plus in student loans. What are they supposed to do? They have rent on top of rent in that point, right? So there's cost of living, student loans, inflation plus salaries not keeping up with inflation. Companies are not increasing salaries for most employees across the country in a measured rate that matches inflation. There's tons of charts and stats you can find around this. I might throw something up on the screen as part of this video to show you what I mean, or link to some sort of study that I find. But it's well documented. It's well documented. Prices are going up, salaries are not. And so every single year, that salary that was supposed to be something that would be able to pay your bills and then some is worth less and less and less. Your dollar's worth less and less and less. So of course, you're going to have an issue with that. Which, by the way, to backtrack a little bit, it used to be you could have one person working in a household and they worked in a factory that made mangoes or some shit, and you'd have a nice little house, right? Making $30,000 a year, and you had a house. You can't do that today. You work in a factory today making mangoes, you're minimum wage, poverty level at best. So standards are not the same. Things have changed, okay? Most of us might not even have a job in 15 to 20 years with automation looming. Well, it's basically here, but automation, it's making its way into the private sector, into blue-collar and white-collar jobs. Everyone thinks blue-collar is going to be most affected, but white-collar jobs are going to be on the forefront as well. Companies are going to be looking to cut costs. So jobs are not even safe, and there seems to be no conversation around this. Automation. It's all about immigration and immigration this, and they're taking our jobs there and taking our jobs here. But no one's talking about who's going to be the main culprit taking your job, which is probably AI and automation. You know, you think you're safe as a software engineer. What happens when you can just make a software app with AI? When AI can just code for you? When maybe now, you know, instead of 4 software engineers, they just need the one. They need one software engineer to use the AI tool to make sure the AI tool does everything correctly, and that's it. The other 3 lose their jobs. So job security is not exactly bright in this country, right? So young people are thinking about that as well, right? So to recap, cost of living, houses are expensive, can't afford a house, property, it's that bastion of American freedom, you know, the cornerstone. My family came to this country and they don't have property. They've rented their whole lives. I've rented my whole life. I don't even know if I'll ever have a house, right? But it's something that I've always aspired to, and many Americans have, and it's just so out of reach. Can't have that house. Rent is expensive. Keeps you constantly paying that paycheck towards that rent, not able to save as much as you could. Rent keeps going up. It's so expensive. Cost of living for food and utilities, all of that is expensive. My electric bill just went up, you know? Debt, loans. We're not even talking about the healthcare system yet. We haven't even gotten to healthcare, right? It's a massive issue. Crickets in this last election cycle, by the way. Nobody talked about it. I didn't hear anything. Did you? That countries around the world have free healthcare, and yet we're still sitting here talking about, you know, oh man, I hope, should I leave my job? If I leave my job, I lose my health insurance. We have our health insurance tied to our employers, which is the most asinine thing you could possibly imagine. Like, why would anyone think that's a good system? For you to be chained to your employer, can't leave because you're worried about losing your health insurance. And, you know, the whole system of profit incentive tied to denying claims, why would anyone think that is a good system? the more money that a company makes, the more successful they are. That's business. But for a healthcare company to be more successful, they need to deny more claims so they don't pay out as much. Then they're more successful. How does no one see the conflict of interest there? That seems to me, logically speaking, to be a really freaking bad idea. And yet we continue to do it. Nobody questions it. We just keep it going and going and going, right? Oh, but we don't want a socialist program. That'd be a bad idea, even though a bunch of other countries around the world do it. They don't seem to have any issues. I don't see people from England or Canada complaining about their free healthcare, saying that they really wish it was privatized. They really wish that they can go to the emergency room and be denied coverage. Sounds like a really good idea. All that money you pay into your health plan, we're only going to cover half. You pay the other 50%. Really seems like a fair system. Like it really makes sense, you know? I think everybody should try it. So that's the other aspect. You know, we have a healthcare system that fucking sucks. It sucks cock. It does. It just does. And nobody wants to change shit. Nobody wants to rock the boat. Immigrants, right? Central topic, immigrants, trans people. Like, who gives a fuck? Not even the biggest issues that we should be focused on. And here we are, right? That's why young people are angry. That's why young people are mad. Because the issues that they care about are not being talked about at all. A lot of the focus is on social issues and shit like this. Not that those are not important, but a lot of the focus needs to be on these central economic issues that are not being addressed for young people. So that's where we find ourselves. And, you know, we haven't even got to some of the other things like environmental issues. We don't even know what the ramifications are going to be in the next 20 to 30 years. We might not even have a planet in 100 years. And yet we're expected to be these American patriots. Why? Why would that make sense for anyone? Why? Young people are not happy with the system that they find themselves within. So they're not going to subscribe to this sense of American patriotism, wave their flag. And don't get me wrong, like I said, there's a lot of things in this country that are good. You know, we have a lot of freedoms. I can make this video and criticize, and I won't be shot dead in the street the next day. I acknowledge that. I can order a burger on my phone. There's a lot of innovations of capitalism that have made our lives significantly better. Microphone, all this stuff. I get it. And I'm not criticizing that. You know, this is not a video where I'm just trying to be like, let's go full communist. I'm not saying that, to be clear. But I am saying there's elements so that we need to fine-tune, to change, completely replace. You know, we have a central framework that I think there's a lot to be proud of, but at the same time, there's a lot of areas we're falling short on. You know, and there's measures of happiness that we can use to be objective. Oh, America's the best country in the world. Why? Why is America the best country in the world? Explain to me why. Because we have freedom. Are we the only country with freedom? Are we the only place in the world where we can walk down the street and just do whatever we want? Are we free truly, if that's your barometer anyway, right? Can you just quit your job? Technically, yeah. Are you okay with being homeless? Are you okay with starving? If you don't have savings? I was able to quit my job, yeah, but I have money saved up. I literally had to work for my freedom. Quite literally, work for my freedom. So what is the measure of actually a free country, if you think about it in that sense? What is the measure? Oh, you're free because you're not technically a slave for a corporation or a company because you're free to leave whenever you want. Yeah, well, your choice is between working and starvation or being on the street. So where's the freedom in that? We always talk about freedom and the American dream and shit like this. Where is it? But, you know, I understand that there's a lot this country affords us that other countries don't. Sure, but other countries also have a lot of things that we don't have. Right? You look at happiness indexes, and it's never America at the top with all the different things that you are used to measure happiness. It's always these Scandinavian countries. I'll pull up a list once I finish recording, and I'll pull it up in the middle of this video so you can see. Right? America's not the happiest. Why? Because, again, poverty, high cost of living, inflation, healthcare sucks. The rich get richer, poor get poorer, value of the dollar keeps decreasing. We seem to really only care about how we can enrich companies and the top 1%. That seems to be the main focus. Oh, GDP. Does it matter though if the average person isn't able to save up money to buy property, to enrich themselves, to make their lives better, the living paycheck to paycheck? Does that matter then? GDP includes paying for services like rent and shit like this. And by the way, paying for goods and services that are necessary and required are part of GDP. So how does that make sense, right? It's like it's supposed to be a measure of how well the country is doing economically, but it doesn't show how well the country is doing in terms of finances. False metric. So what I'm trying to say is that there is no reason for young people to be so gung-ho about the American dream and to believe it's alive and well when they are not being met. Their needs are not being met in a number of critical ways. And we have to have a conversation about that. And, the conversation that we've been having has been about completely unrelated topics. Oh, my golf swing is better than your golf swing. Oh, trans people, gay people, immigrants, things that are not important to the forefront of most people's lives. And here we are. So, by the way, jobs are few and far in between. That's another aspect I forgot to mention. It's very competitive. Everyone bought into the scam of college, and they were, going into college thinking they're going to come out with just a job waiting for them. Can't find a job. It's so competitive, and these jobs don't even pay a lot, So even if you do get a job, you can't keep up with inflation. And so there is nothing about the system right now that's working for most young people. High cost of living, expensive houses, inflation, healthcare. We're not even talking about the environment. And we're supposed to just automatically wave the flag, right? No. One of the things that's beautiful about this country is we can criticize it. And I think that is a good thing. And we should keep criticizing it. Maybe one day they'll listen. I doubt it, to be honest with you. I am in the position right now, which, by the way, I apologize. This is like a stream of consciousness because I don't have a script today. I just wanted to rant because I've been feeling some type of way. But retirement is not even, I haven't even talked about that because young people are not even thinking about retirement. Most of us are not even going to be able to retire because we don't even know Social Security is going to be around, by the way. And even if it is, probably not going to be enough for you to pay the rent that you still have because you don't have a house. Okay? So you're going to have to continue paying rent for the rest of your life because you can't afford a house. And you're going to be living paycheck to paycheck, And that's assuming that your Social Security can cover your rent. Let's hope that it does. Which, by the way, retirement age is 67. I don't know if you knew that, but it is. It's not 65. It's 65 if you don't want full benefits, full Social Security. You can do 62, as early as 62, but you don't get nearly as much as if you wait to 67. If you actually delay it for a few years, I think it's until 69 or somewhere between the range of 69 and 72. If you do that, then you get even more money. And you can check that, by the way. There's a website you can go to. I don't remember what it is, but you can look it up. And if you're curious to see what your benefits look like currently, I've looked it up for myself. And you can see how much money you would get if you were to retire at 62, 65, 67 and beyond, if you're curious. But that's not even a guarantee for most people, right? To retire and live comfortably is we might as well not even talk about it, right? So most people who even have houses, they've been grandfathered into the system. They've inherited it because they can't afford a house on their own. So if you're not one of those lucky people that was able to inherit a house, you're going to have to live off of your Social Security paying rent that's going to be even more expensive than it is today. And again, tell me why we should be all about the American dream. You know, I have increasingly had thoughts and entertained the idea of retiring to another country when my time comes, just because my money is going to go further that way. And I know that a lot of people on YouTube have made videos about living abroad, even well before their retirement. They just live abroad because they don't want to, pay into the system because it's too expensive. And they're able to just work for a couple of years in the US and then live abroad in like Thailand or whatever. And they just have their money just goes way further. So these are all things that people are thinking about, making their exit, because at the end of the day, why should young people be so proud to be Americans and subscribe to the American dream and be all about their country when their country is not all about them? You can't at that point. You have to look out for yourself at the end of the day. Are you an individual who represents yourself first and foremost before you are an American? That's the thing you need to answer for yourself. Or you're willing to just go down with the ship, And I personally am not. I don't have loyalty like that. So I'm going to do what makes the most sense for me and for those around me. And I think that is what you should do too. So I don't have any solutions for you. This was just a rant of me complaining, to be honest with you. And I know that a lot of you that are watching this video can probably relate to me in a lot of ways because you're going through the same exact situation where you're dealing with the same problems. We all are, and they're not being addressed. Our needs are not being met. And, it's a running gag at this point, like a joke. It's a practical joke. Ha ha, but we're not laughing. So that's all I got to say. If you have thoughts on the matter, please leave a comment below. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.